Welcome to LinguaWire English A1. Today we have two stories. One is about a new court decision in Europe. The other is about a new law for workers in Indonesia. Please follow us to practice English every day with the latest episode. For transcripts and quizzes, visit LinguaWire.com. Hello, Sarah. You are LinguaWire's Europe reporter. Can you tell us what happened with the new court decision in Europe?
Hello, Daniel. Yes, the European Union's top court made a very important decision. It said Hungary's law about LGBTQ people breaks EU rules. This law stopped talking about LGBTQ topics with children under 18. The court said this law is wrong and breaks the EU's ideas about fairness.
What is new about this decision? Why is it important now?
This decision is new because it says Hungary's law breaks the main rules of the EU. The court said this law goes against the EU's basic ideas about fairness and respect. It is the first time the court said this clearly. Also, it came just after Hungary's leader Viktor Orbán lost power after 16 years.
Why did Hungary make this law in the first place?
Hungary said the law protects children. They said talking about LGBTQ topics is not good for children. But the court said this is not true. The law also made LGBTQ people look bad and treated them unfairly.
Why does this court decision matter to people in Europe?
It matters because it protects the rights of LGBTQ people. The court said no country in the EU can make laws that treat people badly because of who they love or who they are. It shows that the EU wants to keep respect and fairness for all people.
What could happen next after this decision?
Hungary must change its law to follow the EU rules. If Hungary does not change the law, the EU can take more actions. Other countries in the EU will also watch this decision closely. It can help protect LGBTQ rights in other places too.
What is one surprising detail from this story?
The court said the Hungarian law connected LGBTQ people with criminals. This is very serious. The court said this is wrong and unfair. It shows how strong the court's words are in this decision.
How did Hungary's government pass this law?
Hungary's ruling party, called Fidesz, used a supermajority in parliament. This means they had 2/3 of the seats. This helped them pass the law easily.
Thank you, Sarah. That helps us understand this important news. Now I am with Adam, LinguaWire's Asia reporter. Adam, what is the new law in Indonesia about domestic workers?
Hello, Daniel. Indonesia's parliament passed a law to protect domestic workers. This law gives them rights like health insurance, rest days, and pensions. Before, many domestic workers had no legal protection.
What is new about this law? Why is it important now?
The new law is important because it is the first time domestic workers have legal rights in Indonesia. It took 22 years to make this law. Now agencies cannot take money from workers' pay, and children under 18 cannot work as domestic workers.
Why did it take 22 years to pass this law?
The law was first introduced in 2004, but it stopped many times. Some people in Parliament did not agree. The talk stopped for years. Then, in 2020, they started again and finally passed the law in 2026.
Why does this law matter to people in Indonesia?
Millions of domestic workers, mostly women, work without contracts or rights. Many work long hours for little pay. This law gives them protection and better conditions. It helps them have a better life and more respect.
What could happen next after this law?
The government has 1 year to make detailed rules to put the law into action. Some groups say the law is good, but more work is needed. The fight to protect workers will continue.
What is one interesting detail from this story?
One worker said, "It feels like a dream." She talked about the 22-year fight for protection. This shows how much this law means to the workers.
How many domestic workers are there in Indonesia?
There are about 4.2 million domestic workers in Indonesia. Almost 90% of them are women.
Thank you, Adam. That is a very hopeful story. Now let's look at some words from the story about Indonesia's domestic workers. These words are about work and rights. The first word is law. A law is a rule made by the government. In the story, the law gives rights to domestic workers. For example, the law says people must stop at red lights. The second word is worker. A worker is a person who does a job. In the story, domestic workers are people who work in homes. For example, my father is a worker in a factory. The third word is protection. Protection means keeping someone safe or giving rights. In the story, the law gives protection to workers. For example, the helmet gives protection when you ride a bike. Now, for the second part, let's learn an important verb from the stories. The verb is protect. Protect means to keep someone safe or to help someone not get hurt. It is an action word. In English, we say, I protect, you protect, he protects. For example, the law protects workers. Another example is, parents protect their children. That is all for today's language recap.